Alright, men, we got those damn Frenchies on the run. Let's charge now. But, wait, sir, what's that coming from over there? What? I don't know, it looks strange. It's a Battlesaurus!
This is the introduction song. It's not very good, but it's not too long.
Just look at the cover of this book. Just take a moment to appreciate the pure fucking insanity that we are looking at. I mean, you have a French soldier in Napoleonic garb fighting a bunch of British redcoats while riding on the back of a goddamn fucking T-Rex, okay? That is fucking awesome and insane in every possible way. I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but honestly, that's the whole reason I read this book, okay? Like, those of you who follow me on Twitter might have seen a couple weeks ago I posted a picture of the cover of this book, and I just said, with a cover that batshit, I have to read it. And that's exactly what I did. I was in the library a couple weeks ago, I was browsing the shelves, I saw that, and I read the summary, and honestly the summary's not that impressive. Like, I probably wouldn't have read it. It would just, if it was just for that, it just sounds weird and, I don't know, not that interesting. But, hot damn, that cover made up for it and then some. So I was super excited to read this book, and kinda disappointed when I actually did read it. So, this book is about a teenage boy named Willem who lives in Flanders, which is the French-speaking part of Belgium. At the time it was part of the Netherlands, but now it's Belgium. And this is right before the Battle of Waterloo, which, little bit of background. So, in real life, Napoleon Bonaparte was in charge of France for about 15 years after he took over, and then he was deposed and sent into exile on an island called Elba in the Mediterranean, and then he escaped the island, came back to France, took back over, and then the British and the Russians and the Prussians and his other enemies came together to try and kick him out again, and in an attempt to defeat them, he tried to defeat them one part at a time, and so this led to the Battle of Waterloo in real life. And in real life he lost and was sent to exile again, and he stayed there until he died. But in this book, for whatever reason, dinosaurs exist alongside humans, and there are small, like, velociraptors and stuff that live in Europe and wander around in forests, but, like, big tyrannosaurs and everything only are in the Americas, so there's no people living there in these books. And at some point, apparently, Napoleon brought over giant-ass tyrannosaurs and trained them to fight, and he uses them at the Battle of Waterloo. And I'm not going to spoil anything beyond that, but that is, like, the stupidest, but also fucking coolest, craziest thing I've heard in a while. Like, again, the cover, it's just insane. It sounds like stupid, mindless action, violence, and honestly, it just sounds like fun. And I didn't get that from this. Like, the biggest disappointment for me in this book was the first part of the book. The first 90 pages, I'd say. They have nothing to do with the Battle of Waterloo, and they have nothing to do with a Tyrannosaur. It's just Willem being an angsty teenage boy and going around trying to make friends at the village and not being very good at it. And it kind of introduces you to the world, which is honestly, like, kind of a dumb idea. like, in the hands of a different author or a different story, the world could be really interesting, but here it's just kind of, I didn't like it that much. Although, a story about people colonizing the Americas with, like, giant-ass T-Rexes running around would be cool, I'll admit. But, that's not what this is. It's just kind of boring for, like, 90 pages, and then after 90 pages, it picks up quite a bit, and it turns into a horror story for a little while, and honestly, that was the best part of the book, for me. Like, this 50-page stretch where, the first, like, people are getting killed by dinosaurs in the woods, like, yeah, that's actually really damn good. And then after that, when they get to the Waterloo stuff, it's kind of good, but it's also over very quickly. And then they get into the aftermath, and I just did not give a shit at all. Like, yeah, is very, very, very boring in the last. There was one sequence near the very end in some sewers, which was kind of good. I won't give it away, but that was kind of good, but still, it had nothing on the middle part. Like, if you're reading this book for stupid, mindless action, there's not really a lot of that in here, honestly. If you're reading it for a horror aspect, there is a little bit. And what's there is actually really good. That middle section of the book is really, really good. Way better than I would have expected, honestly. Especially after reading the first part. Because the first part took me almost a week to get through. And I normally never read that slow. It is just boring as hell. And a big part of that is that I just did not care about anyone in this book at all. Like, I don't care about any of the characters. Like, other than Willem, I barely even remember their names. Like, there's Willem, he had 2 friends, one of whom was, like, a crazy religious nut, and, excuse me, and the other one is not. And then there's Willem's mom. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I don't give a shit about any, like, I don't even remember any other names. Let's move on. And another big part of this book just being boring as hell is that it's absolutely horribly written. I mean, like, honestly, like, for me, prose in books can go from, like, really good, and it can get me in, to just sort of meh, for the most part. You know, like, for the most part, even if it's not good, I'll still get into it, and it'll be fine. This book was honestly bad, and that's very rare for me. Like, it's written in present tense, which, I'm not against present tense. It can work if you do it well. Like, I thought it worked okay in the Hunger Games, and honestly, I can't think of any other examples of it, because it's very rare to see it in present tense. But, like, yeah, it just felt weird, because it was present tense, and it was also sort of a combination of, like, Victorian writing and Shakespeare writing, where, like, I'm not even quite sure how to describe it. It was bizarre. It was, like, ultra fancy when it really shouldn't have been. Like, for the type of book this is, it should just be very straightforward and, not very flowery. Like, there's 1 or 2 scenes where they're, like, describing violence, which the flowery poetry sort of works, but for the most part, nah, I didn't like it at all. And honestly, there's not a whole lot else to say. Like, this is a very empty book, despite it being, like, 350 pages, I think. And they're setting it up for a sequel. I don't think I'm gonna read it. This one was bad. Honestly, like, the cover, again, show the cover again. It was fucking amazing. It promised so much, and it looked just crazy and fun, and I got none of that from this book. So, yeah, I'd say, unless you are, like, super, super into the idea and concept of this book, then I'd say avoid it, because, like, there's not much here for anybody. There's not a lot of action for people that want the crazy action. There's not a lot of horror thriller aspects for people that want that, and the drama and everything isn't very good. It's not good as a war story, because honestly it barely focuses on the war as well. Like, it's just kind of a mess. So this one, honestly, I'd say skip. So I have a quick announcement to make real quick. I've been doing reviews every week for a while now, but my schedule no longer allows me to do that, so from now on I'm probably going to start doing reviews every 2 weeks. And I might fill in the gaps of that with some other videos that I'll do. It just won't be reviews, because honestly, reading books takes a long time, and editing and filming takes a while as well, and my schedule just doesn't allow for me to do all of that in 1 week, every week. So, sorry about that. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.